We will be taking the practice test, so a full practice test. That's going to take some extra work on your part, but we'll do that at the end of class, and you can. I'll ask your parents to collect the scores and send them to me. Okay, so you'll have to take the test, but that's after class. You'll need like a laptop or an iPad to take the test. I don't think you can do it on most phones. So just remember, I will need that as part of the finishing of this class. Okay, and we're gonna go right into the lesson today. So first lesson, we're skipping around some lessons as we finish up this part. So today kind of starts us on, it's titled Lesson 16, Effective Language Use. So Lesson 16, Effective Language Use. That's the title of our lesson today. All right. And we should finish this up right around 2 o'clock, and we'll have a break. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before, in previous times, we've examined how the development of writing will be assessed on the SAT. So kind of we've talked about how writing and reading is a big part of the SAT, and that is one area that, we struggle with. So we're kind of talking about how to use language or English properly in this section. So a little bit of like, somewhat of like English class, a little bit more exact practice for what you would see on the SAT. So another part of writing and development that students practice in is effective language use. That's what we're talking about today, and that consists of 3 areas. Okay, so these 3 areas, I want you to write them down: precision, concision, style and tone, and syntax. Okay, precision, concision, style and tone, and syntax. Those are kind of the areas that the questions on the SAT, that's what they deal with. So precision means making word choice more exact or appropriate for the context. So precision would be making word choice more exact or more appropriate for the context. Concision is making word choice more economical by eliminating wordiness and redundancy. So precision is choosing the right word. Concision is choosing less words. So eliminating anything that's unnecessary or not needed. Okay, if you don't need a word, you don't include it. That would be concision, or to be concise. Style and tone. Style and tone is make word choice consistent with the overall style and tone of a passage or accomplishing some particular rhetorical goal. And we talked about rhetoric before. So style and tone, if I were to maybe give you a little bit of a different definition. So style and tone would be to use the right emphasis or the right words for that emphasis. So if you're writing a paper about a particular subject, so if we say we're writing a paper or a paragraph about how mean your brother is or something like that. Like if you're just writing about how mean he is, you're not going to say My brother nicely hits me in the face. Okay, you wouldn't say that because it doesn't give the right tone. If you're talking about him being mean or upsetting, okay, you would say he angrily hits me, or he you know, something like that. And I'm sorry, that's not a very nice example, but that's just what I mean. You know, you want to write with the proper style and tone. Now, it could be a nice hit, like in the sense that it was very good. It was executed properly. He punched you, you know, with a good, you know, punch. But that's not what you want to talk. That's not what you're trying to. That's not the tone you want to use. Okay. All right, and then syntax. Syntax. Okay. Is kind of the same. So the actual definition is combining sentences to improve the flow of language or to accomplish some particular rhetorical goal. Syntax is kind of style and tone, but for a full sentence. So not just one word. Syntax is multiple words, a whole phrase. You want to make sure that it's the right style and tone. You want to make sure, and that's syntax. Or it could be in a different order. Maybe sentence one and sentence two, you should flip them, and it should be sentence two, then sentence one, just to make more sense logically. Okay, so for it to for the reader to be able to read it more clearly. That's syntax. And we've talked about before word choice, which is also known as diction. Okay, word choice and diction. Okay, so syntax are kind of like, if I were to define it a little bit different way, is the ways that sentences are constructed. So sometimes it's just, even in a particular sentence, maybe you want to put one phrase, you know, it's a couple of phrases and you want to switch them around to make more sense for it to be easier to read. So that would be syntax. So here, I'm going to see if we can, I'll show you our handout, because I don't know if you can look at it while you're on here, but if you can, great, look at the handout. We're going to look at a particular passage here. And let's see. Normally, whenever I look at it, the handout, that's when my camera turns off. So let's see if that happens. Okay, guys? All right. So this is what we're talking about. Okay. The second passage here says, a subway system is expanded to provide service to a growing suburb. A bike sharing program is adopted to encourage non-motorized transportation. To alleviate the rush hour traffic jams in a congested downtown area, stoplight timing is coordinated. When any one of these changes occur, it is likely the result of careful analysis conducted by transportation planners. So, let's read it again. Since I read it with you guys one time, let's read it again. Let's pay attention to the way the first three sentences are constructed. So pay attention to the first three sentences. And then as we continue reading, see if there's a pattern. So is it kind of like noun, verb, adjective, like kind of like that? What's the pattern there? Is there a pattern? And then we'll answer question one. Okay. So let's read this one again. Okay. A life in traffic. A subway system is expanded to provide service to a growing suburb. A bike sharing program is adopted to encourage non-motorized transportation. To alleviate rush hour traffic jams in a congested downtown area, stoplight timing is coordinated. When any one of these changes occur, it is likely the result of careful analysis conducted by transportation planners. Okay, so let's kind of look at this right here. Okay, it says, I'll zoom in a little bit for everyone. says, which choice best maintains a sentence pattern already established in the paragraph? Okay, for sentence one. So this connects with this. So remember, I said that before, that whenever there's a one, you know, you want to make sure, okay, this one connects with this one right here. So they do connect, they are related here. Okay. So sentence one, do we think that it's no change, like we wouldn't change anything, or is it better this way? Coordinating stoplight timing can help alleviate rush hour jams in a congested downtown area. Okay, stoplight timing is coordinated to alleviate rush hour traffic jams in a congested downtown area. In a congested downtown area, stoplight timing is coordinated to alleviate rush hour traffic jams. Okay, so let's kind of look at the first three sentences. So we have here, okay, noun, so subway system. So system is really the noun. System, and then we have is expanded. Okay, that's our verb. Is expanded. And then there's this phrase here. So to provide service. Okay, so there's that infinitive phrase. So to provide is an infinitive. That's our infinitive phrase. In the second sentence, it's very similar. So you'll see this. So in the second sentence, okay, a program is our noun. Program is the noun. Is adopted. So is adopted. And then we have an infinitive phrase again. To encourage. To encourage. That's our infinitive phrase one more time. Okay. So that's our pattern. So it's noun, verb, and then infinitive phrase. So here it starts with an infinitive phrase, to alleviate. To alleviate. Then it starts over here, timing, stoplight timing. Okay. Stoplight timing. And then the verb is coordinated. Is coordinated. So we want noun, verb, infinitive phrase. That's the right choice. Noun, verb, then infinitive phrase. So which one here? Okay, this is not an infinitive phrase or a noun. Coordinating stoplight timing. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. Coordinating stoplight timing. Okay, this is all a phrase, a gerund phrase that counts as the noun. That's not what we want. All right. Then here we have at the beginning timing, noun, is coordinated. That's a verb. To alleviate. Okay, that's an infinitive phrase. That one looks pretty good. Let's just check this one. It starts with the phrase in a congested downtown area. That's not what we started with in the past two sentences. So C is our best choice because it follows the pattern syntax. It kind of follows with the syntax of the previous few sentences, and that's why we would choose it. We're not saying that this sentence right here that's underlined, we're not saying it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's not improper English, but it just makes more sense. It's easier to read when you follow a pattern. Okay, so that's our answer for question 1. All right, let's go and we'll scroll down and we'll read this section right here. Okay, this is a story or an article about sleeping at work. Okay, it's called A Nod to Nodding Off. Nodding off is an English phrase. So nodding is when you go like this. You nod your head, yes. Okay, it's also a kind of a sign for yes. And whenever you're falling asleep, we call that nodding off, because whenever you're falling asleep, you kind of, right? Is that right, you guys? Understand? Yes, no? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. Okay. There you go. Good. Good. Okay. All right. So, nodding off. Let me read this and then I want you to pay attention to word choice and the syntax, okay? So word choice and sentence structure. So how the sentences fit together. Try to pay attention to that, and then we'll ask some questions and answer question 1 and 2, okay? With 30% of United States workers not getting enough sleep at night, according to the Wall Street Journal, US companies lose a yearly sum of 63.2 billion annually due to the drop in employee productivity resulting from sleep deprivation. Sleep deprived workers generally have lower morale and are less able to retain information than their better rested colleagues. One of the big reasons behind workers' lack of sleep is the work itself. To combat the problem of sleep deprivation in a demanding work environment, some companies have begun allowing workers to take naps. The hours the average American spend working have increased dramatically since the 1970s, making it hard for many workers to get a good night's sleep. Although employees who sleep on the job are often considered lazy and unproductive, napping in the workplace has been shown to improve workers' efficiency and quality of life. As long as companies continue to demand long hours from workers and managers should champion napping as a means to keep employees happy, healthy, and functional. So, one of our tips for taking the reading test is to read the questions first before you look at the whole the whole paragraph or the whole passage. So, number 1 is talking about this sentence number 1. So let's focus on that. Lose a yearly sum of 63.2 billion annually. And then number 2 is big reasons behind. Okay? That by itself doesn't really give us much information, but it helps us remember as we look at them and pay attention to them. So let me ask this, okay? Are the words appropriate? Do they work? Is it easy to read, or is it inappropriate or not appropriate? Does it work? Is it easy to read? Yes or no? Let's see. Yes. Okay. I have one yes. Do you think the words are appropriate? Do they work? Okay. You can answer in the chat. That way I can see what your answer is, just to know that you're paying attention to. Okay. Then let me ask this. Where is the sentence structure unclear or awkward? Do you feel like there was a place where the sentences didn't work very well, or maybe there was a word that didn't fit? Do you feel like you noticed any of those? Okay. Any answers? Okay. So let me ask this. Who is the writer writing to? Who do you think they're writing to? Are they writing to employees, managers, CEOs, just everybody in general? Who are they writing to? Who do you think they could be writing to? It doesn't say, but who do you think they could be writing to? Go ahead and tell me your answer. Who could this writer be writing to? Okay. What do you think? Okay, I got one answer. That's good. Okay, a few more answers. Bosses, yeah, good. Okay, managers, you don't know. Okay, workers, the person who hires people. Okay, so good thoughts there. Okay, based on that answer, should the writing be formal or informal? Do you think it should be formal or informal? Okay. Uh, Sorry, I keep switching me to send a message to someone in particular. I mean to send it to everyone. Okay, formal or informal? Okay, I got some answers. Formal, formal. Okay, you think it should be pretty formal because it's like a manager probably going to read this, not just everyone. Okay, so because of that, you would think it would be a little bit like better English, maybe like really clear, no slurs or anything like that. So that helps you. That helps you understand. Okay, the syntax or how the sentences should be structured should be a little bit different if this is a formal writing rather than an informal writing. Okay, we want to make sure everything is flows really well and it makes sense. Okay, so let's answer questions 1 and 2. Okay, this is the first sentence here. It says within 30% of the United States, workers are not getting enough sleep at night, according to the Wall Street Journal. US companies lose a yearly sum of 63.2 billion annually due to the drop in employee productivity resulting from sleep deprivation. Okay? So, what do you think the answer could be? All right? What do you think the answer could be? A, B, C, or D? See if you can answer it on your own. Okay, I got one answer so far. Okay, there's two. Okay, a few more answers. Good. Okay, so let's look at these answers just to make sure. Okay, no change would be that there's nothing that should be wrong. Okay, I think there probably could be a change because it says lose a yearly sum of 63.2 billion annually. Okay, yearly and annually mean the same thing. Yearly and annually mean the same thing. So you only need one. You only need one of those. To say yearly and annually would be like saying I got up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, 6 a.m. already means in the morning. So if I say 6 a.m. in the morning, it's what we call redundant. So you say it more than one time and you don't need to. Okay, so here we see an annual loss of 63.2 billion each year. Okay, that still has annual and each year, still kind of that redundant, a loss of 63.2 billion annually. That's only one time, so I'm thinking that's going to be our answer. Have a yearly loss of 63.2 billion annually. Okay, so it's not D, it's not B, it's not A, so it's got to be C. All right, let's look at number 2. Okay, number 2 is big reasons behind. Okay, one of the big reasons behind workers' lack of sleep is the work itself. Okay, so this would be no change. If you think there's not a change to happen, that's what you would choose. Let's read these other choices though. Main things leading up to, huge things about, primary causes of. Okay, so we talked about this being like a formal writing. Okay, so formal meaning like a little bit more educated. So why don't you tell me what you think it could be for number 2, A, B, C, or D? Tell me what you think it could be. Okay, I got 2 answers, 3 answers, 4 answers, 5 answers. Good, good, good. 6. All right. Good. So let's look at this. And this is again kind of like a word choice, style and tone type of question. So style and tone, meaning like we want to make sure we get the right feeling from what they're saying. And we said this was supposed to be formal or more educated because we're kind of writing to managers or people that are like hiring people, like big people in big corporations. So you want really educated people to read this. So, big reasons behind kind of seems informal. It's a little bit informal. That's what I would say if I were talking to, one of my friends. So it's not going to be no change. There's definitely a change that needs to happen. Then main things leading up to, okay, that just seems a little bit wordy, like too many words. All right, there's too many words there. It does not seem very formal. Let's not choose that one because it's just too many words, and it's really not formal either. Huge things about. Okay, again, that's kind of the same as big reasons behind. It just doesn't seem as well put together. It's not at that formal level. So I would say it's D, primary causes of, because this is very formal. This is almost like like very clear writing, but just really like at an elevated education level. Primary causes of, it almost sounds like a doctor's diagnosis, like a doctor saying this is the primary cause of this disease. So kind of just a very formal and well thought out phrase. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to look at 2 more paragraphs here at the bottom of this page. Okay, 2 more paragraphs. This was the paragraphs from that article we read last time about the bees disappearing. Okay, we did read this one, but it's just this kind of, we're asking some different questions about it now. Okay, I want you to just notice like which words you might think were kind of a bad choice or something that could be wrong. And again, as we practice this ahead of time, we read the questions before we start. Okay, so this question says, which choice most smoothly and effectively introduces the writer's discussion of studies of CCD in this paragraph? Okay, this is sentence 17, so they're connected here. Studies have offered several possible reasons that bees are vanishing. So we're gonna end up checking to see if this makes sense. And then here, question 19 relates to this. It doesn't have a question, it's just a matter of is it the right choice? Is it the right choice? Okay. So it says is not be scoffed at. So that's the phrase is not be scoffed at. And it says, no change is a pretty big deal, can't be put on the back burner, cannot be ignored. So again, I want you as we read this to kind of mark, okay, this word sounds weird, or I think it could be this way. Just remember these questions as we read through this, okay? All right. Uh, let me read. I'll start at the beginning. Studies have offered several possible reasons that bees are vanishing. One reason that is often cited is the use of pesticides called neonicotinoids. I don't know how to say that word, but neonicotinoids. All right, that's I can speak English pretty well, but that's a hard word to say. So, which are absorbed by plants and linger much longer than do topical pesticides. Chemicals such as herbicides and fungicides may also play a role contaminating the pollen that bees typically feed on and inhibiting healthy insect maturation. All right, next paragraph. Given the role that honeybees play in agriculture, the impact of this loss of hives on fruit, vegetable, seed, and nut crops is not be scoffed at. A reduction in bee numbers leads to less pollination, which in turn leads to smaller harvests and higher food prices. Some farmers have resorted to renting hives from beekeepers to pollinate their crops when there is a shortage of bees, this being an expensive proposition. Other farmers have increased their dependence on costly hand pollination by human worker. Furthermore, there may be sociological repercussions. Agroecologist Alexandra Maria Klein has suggested that rising produce prices could lead to an increase in obesity as people turn to cheaper, less wholesome fare. Okay, so hopefully you kind of noticed some of the words that and phrases that don't seem to fit. We're not answering all the questions from this section. We're just answering 17 and 19. Okay, so some of the words it seemed like it didn't really work together, particularly the ones that are underlined. But we only need to answer questions 17 and 19. Questions 17 and 19. Okay, so if we look at this, which choice most smoothly and effectively introduces the writer's discussion of studies of CCD in this paragraph? Okay. Studies have offered several possible reasons that bees are vanishing. Okay. So we see there's A, no change, there's bees are vanishing, and according to studies here, there are several possible reasons for this trend. C, several possible reasons offered by studies may explain why bees are vanishing, and then delete the underlined sentence, like don't include it, okay? So what do you say, question 17, what would you say? Sorry, that was just to someone privately. I'm working on doing this better to everyone. There we go. All right, question 17, what would you say, A, B, C, or D? Okay, so I got a lot of choice C, 1A. Okay, so a lot of different, okay, 1B, good, good. Okay, thank you for sending me your answers here. All right. So we would say here, if we keep reading, one reason that is often cited is the use of pesticides, okay, which are absorbed. Chemicals such as herbicides and fungicides may also play a role. Okay, so we kind of look at the next sentence and we evaluate, because this is introducing the paragraph, and you're not going to have, you know, a lot of questions like this, but this may be a style that you have. Does it work for the introduction or the ending? Okay, so it says studies have offered several possible reasons that bees are vanishing, and I think this is a typo. It should say reasons. Okay, there should be an S there, but this is borrowed from someone, so we'll kind of roll with it. Okay. Um, no change, it would be to not change anything, which seems pretty promising because this works. It makes sense. Okay, it does make sense for the introduction, but we'll wait. Okay, bees are vanishing, and according to studies, there are several possible reasons for this trend. All right, that one sounds good, but bees are vanishing. This phrase, bees are vanishing. The next sentence says one reason that is often cited. So we're talking about tone and style, and this is the verb here, is cited. Okay, have offered. Studies have offered. Okay, so we're saying like this is somewhat passive. We want to be passive, like we're not talking about the bees are vanishing particularly. We're talking about chemicals and studies and reasons, not necessarily the bees in particular. We don't want them as the noun. Several possible reasons offered by studies may explain why bees are vanishing. Okay, so this one, there's no need to specify that reasons may explain. Okay, reasons, that's what reasons do. Reasons explain. You don't have to say reasons explain because it's somewhat redundant. That's what reasons do. Okay, reasons explain. So you don't have to say that again. And then delete the underlined sentence is not a choice because one reason that is often cited is the use of pesticides. All right, if we started with that sentence, we haven't introduced reasons, okay? We haven't talked about reason at all here. So we need this reason over here to make sense, for it to make sense. So we're going to say A, no change. And I know that not a lot of you chose that, but A, no change would be our answer for this one. Let's look at 19. All right, 19. 19, it's this phrase right here, is not be scoffed at, is not be scoffed at. All right, that doesn't make sense. You say is not be scoffed at, that does not make sense in English. So that's definitely going to be a change. There is some change. Okay, is a pretty big deal. That sounds kind of informal. Okay, we're talking about formal, not really informal. This is a big study on bees and you know how they work. Then can't be put on the back burner. Again, this is you know, as we read the rest of this sentence, we say, given the role that honeybees play in agriculture, the impact of this loss on hives, on fruit, vegetables, seed, and nut crops is not be scoffed at. So we're talking about a pretty big impact and can't be put on the back burner. Again, it sounds kind of informal, so we're not going to go with C. We want to say cannot be ignored. So again, it's a bit more formal, cannot be ignored. Can't, an abbreviation, is, this would work, but it's a little bit too informal with this word can't. We want to use cannot instead of an abbreviation. Oh, sorry, I just zoomed down here to the end. All right, so cannot be ignored. That's why we choose D, because it's the most formal for this writing. And again, formality with that style and tone are very important. So D is our choice for number 19. All right. So this is punctuation. So I'll just show you this really quickly. It's in your handout. And this is, punctuation. Oh, this is lesson 17. We started on lesson 17. So let me pause here for just a moment. Let's pause and let's do this. All right. I know I haven't heard a lot from you guys yet because you've been kind of quiet today. Let me ask you this. How confident are you in this area? 1 to 4. Okay, so like how do you feel like you would be doing 1 to 4? Go ahead and send me what you feel like. How confident? Okay, and word choice and syntax. Okay, good. All right, got some good answers there. We'll put this to the test a little bit here as we after we take our break and we get into lesson 17 and 18. We'll put this into practice a little bit here, and we will try to see what we're doing, if we're getting any better, or if we are still at just like a 2 or a 3 where we were, or even worse than when we started. Okay, hopefully that's not the case. Let's take a 5-minute break. All right. Here we go. I apologize. So we're looking at our punctuation list, and there's a couple different punctuation. Lesson 17 talks about punctuation. So we're talking about end of sentence punctuation, within sentence punctuation, possessive nouns and pronouns. So possessive nouns and pronouns. So we're talking about that kind of punctuation. Items in series. Items in series. Non-restrictive and parenthetical elements. Okay, non-restrictive and parenthetical elements. And then unnecessary punctuation. Okay, unnecessary punctuation. So again, end of sentence, within sentence, possessive nouns and pronouns, items in series, non-restrictive and parenthetical elements, and unnecessary punctuation. Okay, so end of sentence punctuation. Sorry, I didn't share my screen with you guys again. I've been doing all this stuff and you guys can't even see. So again, just so you can see, end of sentence punctuation, within sentence, possessive nouns and pronouns, items in series, non-restrictive and parenthetical elements, and unnecessary punctuation. Okay, I'll read these out for you. So end of sentence punctuation using the correct form of ending punctuation, period, question mark, exclamation point, when the context make the writer's intent clear. Okay. Within sentence punctuation, correctly using and recognizing the correcting misuses of colons, semicolons, and dashes. So those are kind of the three big punctuation marks that we're going to do within sentences. So colons, semicolons, dashes. Okay. Then possessive nouns and pronouns. Okay, so this is recognizing and correcting inappropriate uses of possessive nouns and pronouns and deciding between plural and possessive forms. So instead of like in English, if we were going to write, this is their paper, okay? Talking about if it's a group of people, their paper, whether to use their or this is a contraction there. It sounds exactly the same, but it means they are instead of, and it's not possessive. So kind of just trying to make sure we're using the proper pronouns and possessive forms. So like instead of writing like if it is mine, like my thing, okay, I would write mine, not like the possessive pronoun of I apostrophe S, like I's, or I could write David's, okay? I's is not proper English. I's is not proper English, like that, okay? So we want to make sure that we're seeing this, and that's kind of possessive nouns and pronouns. Items in a series, so again, the punctuation being commas or possibly semicolon, so comma or possibly a semicolon. That's items in series. And being able to make sure we know which one to use where. Non-restrictive and parenthetical elements. So using punctuation to set off non-essential sentence elements and recognizing and correcting cases in which punctuation is wrongly used to set off essential sentence elements. So there are times in a sentence that you can write like, you know, my dad, John Fulop, is a carpenter. Okay, so I could write it like this: my dad, comma, John Fulop, comma, is a carpenter. Sorry, that should be carpenter, not carpente. That's not a word. All right. But if I were to write it like this, my dad is a carpenter, that's still a proper sentence. It works. It is right. It is correct. Okay. My dad is a carpenter. So we could say that John Fulop is not essential. John Fulop, those two words are not essential to the sentence. So therefore they have to be marked off by commas. It's not essential to the sentence. But if there is a part that is essential to the sentence, like if I said John Fulop is a carpenter, but I put a comma, John Fulop, comma, is a carpenter, that's not correct. So that comma, John Fulop is essential in that sentence because it is the subject. It's the noun, the subject of this sentence. Okay, so it's a little bit of English, and then unnecessary punctuation. It would be like if I had just recognizing and eliminating unneeded punctuation. So if I've got too much punctuation, or if a sentence ends with, if it just says, he is awesome, period, and then exclamation point, that's too much punctuation, okay? You only need one. You have to decide which one you should have, all right? So if we say that, that's what we want to make sure that we have just the necessary punctuation. Okay, so there are 3 categories of questions about writing. So we did kind of talk about some of the reading ones last time in our last lesson, some of the reading categories, but there are 3 categories of questions about writing. So it's going to ask you about sentence structure. So let me do this. 3 categories of questions about writing. Maybe you guys want to mark this down. Okay. 1, sentence structure. 2, word usage. 3, punctuation. Okay. Those are our 3 categories of questions about writing. In this lesson, we're obviously just talking about punctuation. We've talked about some of the other ones already. Okay. We want to look at the questions in this lesson, and we're going to look specifically at punctuation. So commas, periods, exclamation points, question marks. semicolons, colons. So that's what we're looking at in these questions. So as we read, I want you to pay attention to specifically the punctuation. So pay attention to the punctuation. All right. So we're looking at this right here, and let's read these first two passages. So it says, people who pursue careers in transportation planning have a wide variety of educational backgrounds. A 2-year degree in transportation technology may be sufficient for some entry-level jobs in the field. Most jobs, however, require at least a bachelor's degree. Majors of transportation planners are varied, including fields such as urban studies, civil engineering, geography, or transportation and logistics management. For many positions in the field, a master's degree is required. Okay, so that's the first paragraph. Let's read the second one. Named after it. The young boy who had been Dong Moi Shu became Dong Kingman. The name Kingman was selected for its two parts, king and man. Cantonese for scenery and composition. As Kingman developed as a painter, his works were often compared to paintings by Chinese landscape artists dating back to CE 960, a time when a strong tradition of landscape painting emerged in Chinese art. Kingman, however, vacated from the tradition in a number, so it ends right there. Vacated from that tradition and number. Okay, so let's look at 9 and 10 together. So 9 is talking about this right here. So this section, people who pursue careers in transportation planning. So that's 9 right here. People who pursue careers in transportation planning. Sorry, here we go. All right. People who pursue careers in transportation planning. So it says no change, people, comma, who pursue careers in transportation planning, comma. Then it says people who pursue careers in transportation planning, or people who pursue careers, comma, in transportation planning, comma. And then people who pursue careers in transportation planning, comma. All right. Let's look. You guys tell me which one do you think it is, A, B, C, or D? Go ahead and send me your answer. A, B, C, or D? All right, I have one answer so far. So I need just a few more. All of you. Grade 4. You get 7 answers, okay? I'm waiting for 7 answers. I've got 4 right now, so you guys try to give me an answer. Even if you guess, that's okay, because guessing is part of the SAT. I have 5. Okay, I'm waiting for 2 more answers. Come on. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's look at these answers. So it does make pretty good sense on its own. I don't think it needs any extra. So we'll say no change is definitely a possibility. All right, then let's look at this. Okay, it says people, comma, who pursue careers in transportation planning, comma. So it's saying that this section, this phrase right here, B is saying that it's not essential. And let's look at the sentence, the rest of it. Okay, have a wide variety of educational backgrounds. I would say that this phrase is essential because if not, the rest of the sentence doesn't make sense. People have a wide variety of educational backgrounds. It doesn't make sense for the article that we're reading, that paragraph. So we're going to say B does not work. Okay. People who pursue careers, comma, in transportational planning, comma. Okay. So again, we're talking specifically in this whole paragraph about transportation planning jobs. If we said that transportation planning was not essential, again, it would not make sense. It doesn't work because it is essential. We need to know that information. People who pursue careers in transportation planning, comma. So again, that would say that this whole phrase here was unnecessary, or wasn't needed. People who pursue careers in transportation planning. It is needed. It's not a gerund phrase. It's nothing like that. So that doesn't work either. Okay, it is A. There's no change. All right. So if you got A, good job. All right, it was A. Okay, let's look at number 14. So 14. Okay, we're talking about this right here. This one's kind of tricky. All right. 14. That would be parts, king, comma, and man. So those are both words in parentheses. Okay. So, and there's a colon at the end. If you notice right here, there's a colon that's not a semicolon, it's a regular colon. So this right here, colon, that normally sets apart a sentence if there's going to be a definition or a set, like a list that's coming after that. That's why there would be a colon. So let me delete this so we can see what's going on here. So parts, comma, king, comma, and man, colon. All right. So go ahead. Let's see. All right. Question 14. Go ahead and give me your answers. A, B, C, or D. A, B, C, or D. Okay. Got a few answers. Let's keep going. Keep sending me your answers. Okay, so we got a few answers here all over. All right. 2 people said B, and the answer is B. There definitely needs to be a change here, so A does not work. This one, it says parts, king, and man, and then a semicolon. You don't want a semicolon there. You know, you want just the comma. That really helps us understand what the sentence is talking about. And like I said, I know this one is tricky. This one's pretty difficult. Commas and quotation marks and all of that kind of make it somewhat strange. So don't worry if you didn't understand this one. We're working. I know you're not perfect in your English. I'm not perfect in my English either. So we'll just keep working together. All right. Then D, parts, semicolon, king and man. You definitely don't want that semicolon. That's a bad one right there. Not the right place. So you want parts. So it says the name Kingman was selected for its 2 parts. And it has a colon. This colon right here gives us our understanding of, all right, it's about to define what's happening. Parts, okay? King and man, then a comma, Cantonese for scenery and composition. So we're kind of going back and forth, king and man, scenery and composition. So kind of giving that clear definition. That's why there's the colon there. That's why there's a comma right there. All right. So let's scroll it down here. All right, we're gonna look at just a couple of these examples here of end of sentence punctuation and what's happening here. So end of sentence punctuation, we talked about what that means. An example would be Andreas wondered if he should save his money for a rainy day or go to amusement park instead. Okay. This is an example, that question mark right there, that should not be there. It's not a question. This sentence is not a question. He's wondering, but it's not a question. It's just a statement that he wondered, okay? Within sentence punctuation, all right? So example, it says, I can't wait for this weekend. Looks like a comma. My friends and I are going river rafting. I can't wait for this weekend. You would need a semicolon or a period there. So that's a full sentence. I can't wait for this weekend. My friends and I are going river rafting. That's another sentence right there. So that's part of the reason why you would need a period or a semicolon there. All right. Possessive nouns and pronouns. Example, my dog's favorite treat is his milk bone. So here, the apostrophe is in the wrong place. So if we're saying my dogs is plural. So if we're saying dogs like that, my dog's favorite treat. So if you're talking about multiple dogs, you would say dog's favorite treat. So, and if you were adding possessive, you say my dog's favorite treats are, okay? My dog's favorite treats are bones, okay? So we'll say my dogs, that would be plural. So you have dogs singular, dogs plural, then dog, so dogs being the possessive, and then dogs with an S and then the apostrophe at the end being the plural possessive. So dog, dogs, dogs, dogs. They all kind of mean a little bit different things, but they sound exactly the same. I'm sorry, that's English for you. So unfortunately, that's the way that it works. And here, because we use the verb is, we would have to say this is a singular, and the apostrophe should be between G and S. All right, items in a series. It says, example 1, Tina got a car wash, went to the pharmacy, and bought a sled. So Tina got a car wash, then it's semicolon right there, then went to the pharmacy, comma, and then bought a sled, period. So you wouldn't use a semicolon here, you would just use a comma. Tina got a car wash, comma, went to the pharmacy, comma, okay, and then bought a sled, comma. Wow, those are terrible. Went to the pharmacy and bought a sled. It would actually be a period at the end of the sentence. That's okay, but this needs to be a comma. Okay, example 2, Juan has been to Paris, France, Venice, Italy, Kyoto, and Kyoto, Japan. All right, so this is actually a little bit different because when you're talking about Kyoto, Japan, that's a city comma, country. So that's how you would use it. So if they're talking about different cities and then they add in Japan, all right, you would want to separate it with a semicolon. So you would say Paris, semicolon, France, semicolon, Venice, semicolon, Venice, Italy, sorry, Venice, Italy. I didn't recognize that the first time. Semicolon. And Kyoto, Japan, period. So you would say Paris, semicolon. Sorry. These are all I didn't even realize I'm going too fast and I should have said this. Okay, it's Paris, France. So Paris, France, Venice, Italy, and Kyoto, Japan. They're all cities. They should be separated by just a comma. Paris, France, that's one place. Venice, Italy, that's one place. Kyoto, Japan, that's one place. So they need to be separated by commas, the city, then the country. So city and country need to be separated by comma. Country and then another city and country need to be separated by a semicolon. You guys can see that semicolon. That's what I mean. Colon and semicolon. Okay. All right, so commas, then semicolons. So that's whenever that's in a series like that. Then non-restrictive and parenthetical elements. Let's look at this last one. All right, Aria's Candy Corn Emporium, located off Highway 12, is a popular tourist attraction. So you notice there's a comma right here. We need another comma right there after the number 2 to make it right. Okay. All right, we're going to keep moving forward here. All right, so I'm going to put this up on the screen here, and I actually want you guys to read this section. So read all of this, and then try to get your answers here. So read all of that, then get your answers over there. I'm going to give you guys, let's see, 10 minutes to finish this, 10 minutes, and you guys can leave your cameras on and work on this for 10 minutes. You should be done with plenty of time within 10 minutes. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm gonna stop. Again, didn't keep recording, so let's record now. All right, so our answer is C, almanacs, with an apostrophe between the C and the S, describing that it is the editor, it's possessive, and it is possessed by the editor. So the almanacs editor. All right, then 43 is no change because we have almond cheesecake, comma, summer mints. Okay, and this is, if you read the whole sentence, it's talking about a list of things. In another instance of library outreach, a competition at the 2013 Iowa State Fair, contestants baked desserts in 3 categories: almond cheesecake, comma, summer mince pie, comma, and Marlboro pie. So these are set off by dashes using recipes from the Szathmary collection. So there's no change needed. Okay, no change needed here. It's just fine the way that it is. All right, then We got number 12, we've got pollination and then a dash. Let's read the whole sentence here. It says, an October 2006 study found that as much as 1/3 of global agriculture depends on animal pollination, comma, so this comma is important, this one right here, including honeybee pollination dash to increase crop output, period. So if this comma had been a dash, then there would be no change, but it's a comma, therefore this dash also needs to be a comma in order to fit properly and continue with that pattern. Okay, so patterns are important in writing and reading. We need to make sure that we are working on those patterns. Okay, so we finished up here with lesson 18, I'm sorry, 17, but I do have one thing that I want to show everyone here. All right. So this is a section on Khan Academy. So again, a lot of helpful pointers and tips on Khan Academy that I'm sure all of us have struggled at one point or another with some of these English, punctuation rules. There's a lot of rules and a lot of things to remember. So I've struggled with it, and I'm an English speaker, so I can't imagine it's probably very difficult for you all, and I understand that. So I'm just trying my best to help you as I can. Let me show you this here. All right, these are punctuation rules. Quick punctuation rules. So it's got the semicolon, okay, and it talks about that. Semicolon separate independent clauses. The before and after test for semicolons. Then there's the comma splice. It's a warning. So warning. The colon, it talks about how to use a colon. It talks about the dash, okay, and how one dash equals a colon. So just kind of how this works. So it's a couple of tips on this, and it says here the semicolon on the SAT, the most common use of the semicolon is to connect two closely related independent clauses. The rarer use of the semicolon on the SAT is to separate items in a series. This only happens if the list is complex and the items have their own punctuation, such as commas. So an independent clause is like this. Teddy loves stuffed bears. His collection includes 54 specimens. Okay? These would be independent clauses. They're like sentences that can stay on their own. So we use colons to separate independent clauses if we want to put them together. So Teddy loves stuffed bears, semicolon, so this semicolon right here. His collection includes 54 specimens. So Alex cooks his brownies with lard, semicolon, they taste great, period. Okay? So the examples, how the second clause adds directly to what's discussed in the first clause. So you can't just connect sentences together that don't make sense together. You don't want to put them together in a weird way that doesn't make sense. You want them to be logical and in order as best as you can. The before and after test for semicolons on the SAT, a semicolon may be used to join two closely related independent clauses. If both the first and the second parts of a sentence could stand alone as their own sentences, and the second part adds to the first, then a semicolon can be acceptable. So check the part before the semicolon. Could it be a sentence on its own? Could it be solo? Check the part after the semicolon. Could it be a solo sentence? If the answer of 1 and 2 are yes, then the two parts are closely related, then the semicolon is good to go. All right? So they need to be complete sentences to be joined by a semicolon. Okay? This, beware the comma splice. When you try to connect two independent clauses using a comma, you create an error known as a comma splice. So where instead of using a semicolon, you try to use a comma, it is a common problem. So change the comma to a period or add a conjunction. So Teddy loves his stuffed bears. and his collection includes 54 specimens, that would be correct. But if you turned it into a period, it'd be even better. All right, so like right here, Teddy loves his stuffed bears, comma, and, okay, comma, and. All right, see, use the semicolon in place of a comma if you're trying to practice and make sure that it's correct. That's one other thing you could do. A colon is sometimes used after a statement that introduces a list, a self-contained quotation, an explanation, or an example. Okay, so like this, the English language abounds with irregular verbs. Colon, drink, drank, drunk, break, broke, broken, swim, swam, swum, shrink, shrank, shrunken, fell, fell, fallen, blow, blew, blown. Okay, so it gives us a list right after the colon. It gives us a whole list of stuff. That's when a colon can be used. You know, so like here, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address began with the following preamble, colon, it's a direct quotation, 407 years ago. So really, list, self-contained quotation, an explanation, or an example. Okay. What comes before the colon must be or contain an independent clause. It must represent a complete thought and be able to function as a well-formed standalone sentence. So what comes before the colon must be an independent clause. That's what it's saying. It represents a complete thought and functions well. Then there's the dash. Just like the rule for colons, what comes before the single dash must be an independent clause. So kind of the same idea. The dash is not the hyphen. So the dash is longer. The hyphen just connects two words. And the hyphen is not tested on the SAT. So hyphen is not tested, so don't worry about that. You were right. He did eat the whole thing. So there's a dash there. Learning to ride a unicycle is easy if you don't mind a few bumps and bruises. So kind of a self-contained thought after the dash. Okay, when in doubt, take it out. So if you're trying to make sure, like, does this work? Is it correct? Try to take it out. Okay, remove the element in question and read the sentence again. If the sentence reads through without the element, then the double punctuation was okay. So if what's between the two dashes makes sense, if you take it out, if you can take it out and the sentence still makes sense, then it works. It is correct. Sitting at dinner that night, Finn refused to answer a single question about his day. So this is correct. You can use two dashes here. Okay. I'm not gonna keep going through all of this, but let me give you a couple of resources here. Okay, let me send you guys a couple of resources. So you may want to copy this into your notes if you're taking notes. If you're not taking notes, you should. Sorry, let me send this to everyone. And then here, I've got a few for you. Okay, possessive pronouns. There's a video to help you with possessive pronouns. Here's a video here to help you with some non-restrictive information. This here will help you with items in a series. And this will help you with within sentence punctuation. So let me see here. There, that link was bad. Okay, so that's the link right there. These are what we just discussed in this lesson, but there are videos of the presenters on Khan Academy kind of talking a little bit about it. And they're able to explain things in a different way that maybe makes more sense to you. So you can try to use that and watch those videos too. Okay. Here, let's just go ahead. We pretty much have finished up this lesson. Let's go ahead and we'll take a 5-minute break. So we'll come back at 2:56. 2:56. So 5 minutes, and we'll come back together. Okay. So that was just a quick video showing you, kind of how these work, and they're kind of helpful. You see, they're just a moment to kind of show you what we just talked about, and they can be helpful whether you use it right now or maybe you use it, in the future as you study. I'm just kind of showing you all the tools that Khan Academy has on there. Um, all right, so lesson 18 would be putting it all together. We don't really have the ability to do that because we didn't all print out this student handout, so it'd be kind of hard for us to answer all the questions. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you guys the first page to look at and read and answer the questions, and then we'll see where we are from there. So this is kind of like practice test, what we've done, putting all this together and how we can use it as we put it together, try to make ourselves better and get better at this test so we can get better grades and do more things with our lives. Okay, all productive things here. Let me see one other quick link as I get ready for this, as it loads up. Okay. All right. So here we go. This is just someone else saying what I was going to say, and I'm going to have you guys watch the video. That way you can hear them say it, because my voice can be boring sometimes. So what to expect on the language test.
The SAT consists of tests in reading, writing and language, and math, plus an optional essay. This video focuses on the writing and language test. In this test, you'll use your skills and knowledge to revise and edit passages. You will have 35 minutes to read 4 passages and answer 44 multiple choice questions. The topics for the 4 passages are careers, science, humanities, and history or social studies. The writing modes of these 4 passages will vary. One will be narrative, at least one will be argumentative, and at least one will be informative or explanatory. Certain passages and some questions will include tables, graphs, or charts. A graphic may provide additional support for a point made in the passage. Questions may ask you to use the graphic to correct an error in the passage, or to replace the passage's vague description with a more precise one. The passages and questions will appear this way in your test booklet. The passages may extend to more than 1 page, so don't assume a passage is over until you see the title of the next one. The question numbers within the passage will help you determine the section the question is targeting. When you see underlined text after the boxed number, you will be asked which of the 4 answers results in the most effective expression in the context of the passage. Some questions that ask about an underlined portion in the passage offer directions or ask an actual question. When there are no additional directions or questions, assume that you have to choose the answer that's the most effective or correct. Choose the no change answer if you think the original version presented in the passage is the best choice. Otherwise, pick one of the 3 alternatives offered in the question. When you see a boxed number and nothing else in the sentence, the question will tell you exactly what to do. When the paragraphs or sentences in a passage are numbered, you will have a question about where a particular sentence or paragraph should be placed. All of the questions on this test are based on the context of the passages. You won't be tested on isolated skills or asked to identify specific grammar rules. There are 2 categories of questions. In the first, expression of ideas, you will be asked to improve the development of the topic, the organization of information and ideas, and the effectiveness of the language. The second category is standard English conventions. These questions will ask you to recognize and correct errors in sentence structure, grammar, usage, and punctuation. You're in the right place to learn more about the SAT Writing and Language Test, right here on Khan Academy. So let's get started with some free hands-on practice.
Okay, so that was, again, just kind of an overview of the reading test and the reading section of the reading and writing section of the SAT. You can see that in the real test, you have 35 minutes to answer 44 questions. And in this practice that I had for you guys, we had some, some ways to do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a look at the first practice page, and then we'll see what we have time for in the second and third practice page. I'll let you guys, we'll determine what we're going to do with that exactly. So give me just a moment here. Okay. So you have, it's typically, I was looking for one piece of information. It's typically about a minute per question, just under a minute per question that you have to answer. So try to keep that consistent. So let's look at this first page here. Okay, there are 4 questions. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to try to answer these 4 questions. That's just like on the test. So let's try to answer these here. I'll see if I can make it bigger. Maybe no. I don't think that's going to work. Let's make it smaller. Okay, so 5 minutes to answer these questions here. If you can see me and see this and you're ready to do it, give me a thumbs up on the reactions. So give me a reaction of a thumbs up. Okay. All right, I'm waiting on a lot of you for a thumbs up. Let's go, let's go. You can hear me, you can see me. Go ahead and turn on your camera. That way I make sure that I can see you guys, and we'll do this. All right, turn your cameras on. All right, cameras. Waiting for everyone's camera. See, Brandon, go ahead and turn on your camera. All right, we're looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 5 minutes here. All right, 5 minutes starting now. All right, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Let's go ahead, finish up, do what you can. This is a test, kind of see where you are. All right, 1 minute. 1 minute. Try to get your answers and send them to me. That way I know you finished. Ten seconds. Go ahead and send me your answers. Send them, send them. Hurry. All right. Send me your answers. Come on, guys. All right. So let me just get these to you. All right. So let's check these really quickly. We've got C, D, C, A. All right, C, D, C, A. Those are the answers for this first section right here. Okay, C, D, C, A. That is the answer for this first section here. Okay. As we look at some of these other ones, let me take you to, okay. Doesn't look like they have a section with the question that I was looking for. Here we go. This section right here, 34 through 44. Okay, so we're going to do questions 34 through 36 right here. 34 through 36. And since there's 3 questions, I will give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes to try to answer these 3 questions. Okay? 3 minutes to try to answer these 3 questions. Let's just give it a try, okay? Here, I'll start the time. And now, go. This would be more like the test, so you've got only 3 minutes to answer these 3 questions. All right, we're getting right to about a minute and 30 seconds. At this point, you should be switching to answering the questions. If you haven't been able to read all of it, just go straight to the questions. Don't try to keep reading. All right, 1 minute left. All right, less than 30 seconds. Send me your answers. 10 seconds. All right. That is the pressure that you will feel on the test. That kind of like speed, you've got to like really try. And I know it's tough. I know it's difficult, but I'm giving you a little bit of a feel for how you're pacing, how quickly you should go on the test. So right here, all right, we've got D, and then B. D, D, and B. Okay, so I see some of you got maybe 1 right, maybe 2 right. So good job. So again, I'm not going to take the time to explain these right now. All right, so let me do this. Okay, what I want you guys to do at this point is to go back to Khan Academy, open up Khan Academy, and get ready to take your practice test. Okay, so full length practice test. So go to full tests. So if you're looking over here, so on Khan Academy, this is the dashboard. All right, and we want to do full test, and you can do one of the tests you haven't done yet. So whichever one you haven't done, like 9, 8, 7, just one that you haven't done, go ahead and take a practice test. And what I'm gonna ask you to do is at the end, I want you to send me your score, okay? So once you finish, you need to send me your score, email it to me, okay? We are not gonna be on the video the entire time, but I want it to be in by the end of today. And if I need to call Mr. Chen or Brandon, maybe call your mom, I will if I need to, but I need you guys to finish this by the end of today. Okay, so it's a long process. It's going to take you some time. You don't have to do it right now, though I think you could do it now, and you can even take a break. I know that you shouldn't, because that's not how it normally works, but you can. But I need to get your score by the end of today. Okay, so you can email me. You guys know my email, but email me, David Fulop at ucsjax.com. Okay, so that's my email. Send me the score, a screenshot, or just the number for your math and your reading and writing. Okay, math, reading and writing. You don't have to do the essay. Okay, you do not have to do the essay. You don't need to worry about doing that. So just the test, the reading, the writing and language, and then the math. So full test, that's what I expect from you guys, and to send me your scores by the end of today. Is that clear? Any questions? If you have a question, you can, give me a thumbs up or like a clap or something. Tell me, do you have questions? Sorry, let me give everyone my email here. Cody.
Fulop?
Yes.
Can I just send it to you through
Yeah, you can send me a text message. You have my number, Brandon.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Cody, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. I was just asking for a reaction if you had a question. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so you're going to do practice test, one that you haven't done yet, and you're going to send me the score by the end of today. So 11:59 p.m. Yes? Okay, now if you're good, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up? Okay. Okay, so guys, it's been a pleasure working with you. If you have any question, you're more than welcome to email me or, get in touch with me. Talk to me. I should see you guys if you're still going to be at University Christian. I'll see you guys around. And if you have anything that you need me to answer or you have some problem with Khan Academy, please let me know as soon as possible. All right? Okay. So you guys are all going to do your practice test, and I'm going to get my scores back from you guys before the end of today, right? Nod. That's an yes. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.